I'm Stephan Soihl. I'm here in the Hallie Ford Museum in Salem, Oregon. It's November of 2020. And this is a piece that is in the collection of the Hallie Ford Museum, a sculpture of mine. And it's called Counter Motion Brass Forms, which kind of describes what it is, what it does. It has the four individual brass-shaped forms, flat metal but shaped to be more spatial, and then also this triangular wedge-like piece that kind of disguises the shaft coming out of the base. So this is kind of a special base that I made myself years ago that houses the motor, the gears, the chassis for the motor, but also the microcontroller. It's a simple microcontroller that I can program to make the sculpture run for certain periods of time, certain speeds. It also has a passive infrared sensor that starts it, and it plays little tones on a little speaker that is just slightly outside the bottom there. Anyway, the idea of the piece was that it would move in counter motion, and there is a 1/4-inch rod that comes up, but also a tube that fits on the rod. And so that, for instance, this piece can rotate freely on its tube that's on the rod. This lower piece is propelled, you might say, by a gear in the base, and then this piece here is propelled by a different gear. This gear attaches to the tube, and this gear attaches to the shaft. So that 1/4-inch shaft inside the tube. And the idea was they would move in counter motion because there's a fourth gear in the base. The motor gear, this gear, and then one of the two gears has that fourth gear that makes it go backwards, you might say. So that's all part of the piece. And then this form and this form can just float freely, you might say. Whereas this goes one way with its gear and this goes the other way with its gear. Now we can just get it to start. So the little tones, if you can hear them, indicate the piece is starting. And so there it does. The bottom form is rotating clockwise, and the third form up is rotating counterclockwise. And then this form can kind of ride along, basically due to whatever friction is acting between its shaft and the rod, and then this form also. This form tends to ride with the rod because it's sitting on the rod, but it can be kind of moved by hand. So anyway, it's working very well right now. Museum staff here at the Hallie Ford did help me rectify a bit of the engineering of it so that it truly does work in counter motion. It's the only piece I've done like that has counter motion, and I'm really very happy with it. And it's in the collection here in the Hallie Ford Museum.